Greeting of the day, guys. It's me, Sahil Jamadar. Now we continue our reading. Really, books simply help you to see what is already within yourself. That's what enlightenment is all about. After all my journeying and exploring, I found that I have actually come full circle back to the point from which I started as a young boy. But now I know myself and all that I am and can be. So the ritual of abundant knowledge is all about reading and exploring the wealth of information out there. Partially, for now, read 30 minutes a day. The rest will come naturally. Julian said with a hint of mystery. Okay, what's the 50th ritual of radiant living? It is the ritual of personal reflection. The sages were firm believers in the power of inner contemplation. By taking the time to get to know yourself, you will connect to a dimension of your being that you never knew you'd had. Sounds pretty deep. It's actually a very practical concept. You see, we all have many sleeping talents inside of us. By taking the time to get to know them, we kindly them. However, silent contemplation will deliver even more than this. This practice will make you stronger, more at ease with yourself, and wiser. It is a very rewarding use of your mind. I am still a little fuzzy on the concept, Julian. Fair enough, it was also foreign to me when I first heard it. Boiled down to its basic form, personal reflection is nothing more than the habit of thinking. But don't we all think? Isn't that part of being human? Well, most of us do think. The problem is that most people think just enough to survive. What I am speaking about with this ritual is thinking enough to thrive. When you read Ben Franklin's biography, you will see what I mean. Every evening, after a full day of productive work, he would retire to a silent corner of his home and reflect on his day. He would consider all of his actions and whether they were positive and constructive or whether they were of the negative sort in need of repair. By clearly knowing what he was doing wrong in his days, he could take immediate steps to improve and advance along the path of self-mastery. The sages did the same. Every night they would retire to the sanctuary of their huts covered by fragrant rose petals and sit in deep contemplation. Yogi Raman would actually take a written inventory of his day. What kinds of things would he write down? I asked. First, he would list all of his activities, from the personal care activities of his morning to his interactions with the other sages, to his forays into the forest in search of fireworks and fresh food. Interestingly, he would also write down the thoughts he had run through his mind during that particular day. Isn't that hard to do? I can hardly remember what I thought 5 minutes ago, let alone 12 hours ago. Not if you practice this ritual daily. You see, anyone can attain the kind of results I have attained. Anyone. The real problem is too many people suffer from that dreadful disease known as excusitis. I think I might have constructed that one in the past, I said in full knowledge of what my wise friend was saying. Stop making excuses and just do it, Julian explained. exclaimed, his voice resonating with the strength of convictions. Do what? Take the time to think, get into the regular habit of personal introspection. Once Yogi Ramam had listed all that he had done and all that he had thought in one column, he would then do an assignment in another column. As he was confronted by his activities and thoughts in the written form, he asked himself whether they were positive in nature. If they were, he resolved to continue giving his precious energy to them, as they would pay huge dividends in the long run. And if they were negative, then he would come up with a clear course of action to get rid of them. I think an example might help me. Can it be personal? Julian asked. Sure, I had loved to know some of your innermost thoughts, I suggested. Actually, I was thinking about yours. We both started to giggle like a couple of kids in a schoolyard. Oh, alright, you always did get your way. Okay, let's go through just a few of the things that you did today. Write them down on that piece of paper on the coffee table, Julian instructed. I started to realize that something important was about to happen. This was the first time in the year that I had actually taken the time to do nothing but reflect on the things I was doing and the thoughts that I was thinking. It was all so strange and yet so intelligent. After all, how could I ever hope to improve myself and my life if I hadn't even taken the time to figure out what I was supposed to improve? Where do I start? I asked. Start with what you did this morning and progress through your day. Just hit a few of the highlights. We still have a fair amount of ground to cover, and I want to get back to Yogi Raman's fable in a few minutes. Fine. I woke up at 6:30 to the sound of my electric rooster. I joked. Get serious and keep going, Julian replied firmly. Okay. Then I showed and shaved, gobbled down a waffle and rushed off to work. And what about your family? They were all asleep. Anyway, once I got to the office, I noticed that my 7:30 appointments had been waiting there since 7, and boy, was he furious. What was your response? I fought back. What I supposed to do? Let him push me around. Okay. Then what happened? Well, things went from bad to worse. The Kurthos called and told me that Judge Wildbest needed to see me in his chambers, and if I wasn't there within 10 minutes, hits would roll. You remember Wildbest, don't you? You were the one who nicknamed him Judge Wildbest after he held you in contempt for parking your Ferrari in his parking spot. I recalled, breaking into laughter. You would have to bring that up, wouldn't you? Julian replied, his eyes revealing the remnants of that mischievous twinkle he was once well known for. Anyway, I rushed down to the courthouse and had another argument with one of the clerks. By the time I got back to the office, there were 27 phone messages waiting for me, all marked urgent. Need I go on? Please do. Well, on the way home, Jenny called me in the car and asked me to stop by her mother's house and pick up one of those amazing peas my mother-in-law is famous for. Problem was that when I took that exit, I found myself in the middle of the gridlock. That was worse than anything I have seen in ages. So there I was in the middle of the rush hour traffic in 95-degree heat, shaking with stress and feeling that even more time was slipping away. How did you respond? I cursed the traffic. I said with complete honesty, I was actually shouting out loud inside my car. Do you want to know what I said? I don't think that would be the kind of things that would nourish the garden of my mind. Julian responded with a soft smile. But it might make for good fertilizer. No thanks. Maybe we should stop there. Just take a second and look at your day. Obviously, in retrospect, there are at least a few things that you would do differently if you had the chance. Obviously. Like what? Well, first, in a perfect world, I would get up earlier. I don't think I am doing myself any favor by hitting the ground running. I had liked to have a little peace in the morning and ease myself into the day. The heart of the rose technique you told me about earlier sounds like it would be fun. Also, I really would like to have the family around the breakfast table, even if only for a bowl of cereal. It would give me a better sense of balance. I always seem to feel that I never spend enough time with Jenny and the kids. But it is the perfect world and you have a perfect life. You do have the power to control your day. You do have the power to think good thoughts. You have the power to live your dreams. Julian observed, his voice rising. I am realizing this. I really am starting to feel that I can change. Great. Continue reflecting on your day, he instructed. Well, I wish I hadn't yelled at my client. I wish I hadn't argued with the court clerk, and I wish I hadn't screamed at the traffic. The traffic doesn't care, does it? It just keeps on being traffic, I noted. I think you now to see the power of the ritual of personal reflection by looking at what you are doing, how you are spending your day, and the thoughts you are thinking. You give yourself a benchmark for measuring improvement. The only way to improve tomorrow is to know what you did wrong today and come up with a clear plan so that it doesn't happen again, I added. Precisely. There is nothing wrong with making mistakes. Mistakes are part of life and essential for growth. It's like that saying happiness comes through good judgment. Good judgment comes through experience, and experience comes through bad judgments. But there is something very wrong with making the same mistakes over and over again, day in and day out. This shows a complete lack of self-awareness, the very quality that separates humans from animals. I have never heard that one before. Well, it's true. Only a human being can step out of himself and analyze what he is doing right and what he is doing wrong. A dog cannot do this, a bird cannot do this, even a monkey cannot do this, but you can. This is what the ritual of personal reflection is all about. Figure out what is right and what is wrong in your day and in your life. Then set about making immediate improvements. Lots to think about, Julian. Lots to think about, I offered reflectively. How about thinking about the sixth ritual for radiant living, the ritual of early awakening? Oh, I think I know what's coming. One of the best pieces of advice I learned in that far-off oasis of Savannah was to rise with the sun and to start the day off well. Most of us sleep far more than we needed to. The average person can get by on 6 hours and remain perfectly healthy and alert. Sleep is really nothing more than a habit, and like any other habit, you can train yourself to achieve the result you want, sleeping less in this case. But if I get up too early, I really do feel exhausted, I said. For the first few days, you will feel very tired. I will freely admit this. You might even feel this way for the first week of getting up nice and early. Please see this is a small measure of short term pain for a large measure of long term gain. You will always feel a little discomfort when you are installing a new habit. It's sort of like breathing in a new pair of shoes. At first, it's a little hard to wear them, but soon they fit like a glove. As I told you earlier, pain is often the precursor to personal growth. Don't dread it, instead, embrace it. Okay, I like the idea of training myself to get up earlier. First, let me ask you, what does early means? Another fine question. There is no ideal time, just like everything else I have shared with you so far. Do what is right for you. Remember Yogi Raman's admonishment, nothing to extreme, everything is in moderation. Getting up with the sun sounds extreme. Actually, it isn't. There are few things more natural than rising. The glory of the first ray of a new day. The sages believed that sunshine was a gift from heaven, and while they were careful not to overexpose themselves, they regularly had baths and often could be seen dancing playfully in the early morning sunshines. I firmly believe that this was another key to their extraordinary longevity. Do you sunbath? I asked. Absolutely. The sun rejuvenated me. When I grow tired, it keeps my mood bright. In the ancient culture of the earth, the sun was thought to be a connection to the soul. People worshipped it as it allowed their crops to flourish along with their spirits. Sunlight will really release your vitality and restore your emotional and physical vibrancy. It is a delightful physician when visited in moderation, of course. Alas, I digress. The point is to get up early every day. How do I build this ritual into my routine? Here are the couple of quick tips. First, never forget that it is the quality and not the quantity of sleep that is important. It is better to have 6 hours of unique, uninterrupted deep sleep than even 10 hours of disturbed sleep. The whole idea is to provide your body with rest so that its natural processes can repair and restore your physical dimension to its natural state of health. This is dimension through the stresses and struggles of daily use. Many of the habits of the sages are based on the principle that one must strive for quality rest rather than quantity sleep. For example, Yogi Ramam would never eat after 8 p.m. He said that the digestive activity it induced would reduce the quality of his sleep. Another example was the sage's habit of meditating to the soft sound of their harp immediately before heading off to sleep. What was the reason behind this? Let me ask you, John, what do you do before you go to sleep every night? I watch the news with Jenny, the same as most people I know. I kind of thought so, replied Julian with a mysterious twinkle in his eyes. I don't get it. What could possibly be wrong with getting a little shot of the news before I go to sleep? The 10 minutes period before you sleep and the 10 minutes period after you wake up are profoundly influential on your subconscious mind. Only the most inspiring and serene thoughts should be programmed into your mind, and those times you make the mind sound like a computer. That's a pretty fair way to look at it. What you put in is what you get out. Every more important is the fact that you alone are the programmer. By determining the thoughts that go in, you also are determining precisely what will come out. So before you go to sleep, don't watch the news or argue with anyone or even go over the day's events in your mind's eye. Relax, drink a cup of herbal tea if you like. Listen to some soft classical music and prepare yourself to drift off into a rich, renewing slumber. It makes sense. The better the sleep, the less I will need. Exactly. And remember the ancient rule of 21. If you do anything for 21 days in a row, it will be installed as a habit. So stay with the early rising routine for about 3 weeks before you give up, because it feels too uncomfortable. By then it will be a part of your life. Within short order, you will be able to rise at 5:30 am or even at 5 am with ease, ready to savor the splendor of another great day. Okay, so let's say that I am getting up every day at 5:30. What do I do? Your question shows that you are thinking, my friend. I appreciate this. Once you are up, there are many things you can do. The fundamental principle to keep in your mind is the importance of starting your day off well. As I have suggested, the thoughts you think and the actions you take in the first 10 minutes after the wake up have a very marked effect on the rest of your day. Seriously, absolutely. Think positive thoughts, give a prayer of thanks for all you have, work on your gratitude list, listen to some great music, watch the sun come up, or perhaps go for a quick walk in natural surrounding. If you feel up to it, the sages should actually make themselves laugh whether they felt like it or not, just to get the happiness juices flowing early in the morning. Julian, I am trying very hard to keep my cup empty, and I think you will agree that I have done pretty well for a novice. But that really sounds odd, even for a band of monks living high in the Himalayas. But it is not. Take a guess how many times the average 4 years old laughs in a day. Who knows? I do. 300. So now guess how many times the average adult in our society laughs in the course of a day. 50. I tried. Try 15. Julian said, smiling in satisfaction. You see my point? Laughing is the medicine for the soul. Even if you don't feel like it, look in the mirror and laugh for a couple of minutes. You can't help but feel fantastic. William James said, we don't laugh because we are happy. We are happy because we laugh. So start your day on a delightful footing. Laugh, play, and give thanks for all you have. Every day will be an exquisitely rewarding one. That's enough for today. We continue our reading. Okay, bye. Have a good day.